The moment I was dropped into this world, I found myself in the body of Marcus Ashford, and his fiancée was currently jilting him at the altar. "Marcus, I'm in love with Damien," she announced to the entire wedding hall. "Since he's here now, this wedding is off." The story's hero gazed at her, his eyes full of devotion. "Isabella, I told you I'd be here for you. If the Ashford family dares to stand in our way, I'll tear them down with my bare hands one day." A smirk played on my lips. "Why wait? Let's do it today." I called out, "Security, detain every member of the Chen family. If they resist, eliminate them on the spot." Well, my job is to jump into stories. With every mission I complete, my power elevates to a whole new tier. By the time I landed in the body of Marcus Ashford, heir to one of this world's 4 founding families, my power had already reached the immortal tier. Just then, the chapel bells tolled. The officiant held the microphone to the bride. "Do you, Isabella, take this man, Marcus Ashford, to be your lawfully wedded husband?" "She doesn't." Before Isabella Chen could answer, a voice dripping with arrogance boomed through the hall. The main doors burst open, revealing the stone-faced hero of this story, Damien Cross. Isabella's eyes lit up. She ripped the veil from her hair. "Marcus, I'm in love with Damien. Now that he's here, our wedding is cancelled." Damien Cross looked at Isabella with a smoldering intensity. "Isabella, I promised I'd crash this wedding. If the Ashford family tries to stop me, a day will come when I will personally destroy them." I quickly ran through the novel's original plot in my head. In this world, a fraction of the population had awakened, gaining supernatural abilities. Society was dominated by 3 mystical sanctuaries and 4 ancient founding families. The Ashfords were one of those 4 families, and Marcus Ashford, the original owner of this body, was nothing more than a simp for Isabella Chen. He'd never so much as held her hand, yet he'd showered her family with a fortune in resources and connections. The Chens, thanks to Ashford's backing, had climbed from being complete nobodies to a second-tier power player in New York City. They were the talk of the town. And today's wedding. It was just another scene in the grand drama co-starring Isabella and the chosen one, Damien Cross. They had deliberately timed this spectacle for when the Ashford family's most powerful members were away, dealing with a dimensional rift that had opened up downtown. It was all a grand performance to prove to the world that their love was the real deal. The original Marcus Ashford was a pathetic doormat. He had tearfully wished them well and let them walk away together. Not only that, he continued to funnel a steady stream of funding and assets to the Chen family. They, in turn, handed it all over to Damien Cross. Eventually, Damien ascended to a godlike level of power. But before he left this mortal plane, he led the Chen family in a full-scale assault that wiped the Ashfords from the face of the earth. My last mission nearly killed me. This simple revenge plot is exactly what I need. Call it a bonus round. The entire hall erupted in chaos. Did someone just crash an Ashford wedding? Is he suicidal? Someone whispered. Is Isabella Chen insane? The Chen family owes everything to the Ashfords. Exactly. To publicly cancel the wedding and humiliate the Ashfords like this, they're done for. I don't know about that. Everyone knows Marcus is completely whipped when it comes to her. He might actually agree to this. The Ashford family members in attendance were on their feet, glaring daggers at Damien. But without my command, they wouldn't make a move. Every eye in the room was now fixed on me. I offered a lazy, mocking smile. Why wait till some distant day? Let's settle this today. Security, round up the Chens. If anyone resists, you have my permission to use lethal force. A collective gasp went through the crowd. No one had ever imagined that the spineless Marcus Ashford could have such a decisive, ruthless side. Isabella froze for a second, then the corners of her mouth turned up in a smirk. She clearly didn't take me seriously. Ashford security moved like wolves into a flock of sheep, immediately surrounding the Chen family. A few of them put up a struggle, but the guards hesitated to get rough. They all knew how I used to spoil Isabella. They weren't sure if I was serious about killing them all or if this was just a bluff to scare her into line. Stop right there, Damien Cross roared. A brilliant golden light exploded from his body. The phantom image of a colossal dragon materialized above him, roaring silently. The hall buzzed with shocked whispers. What is that? The draconic core. He's that prodigy from the Cross family. Damien Cross. My God, that's a legendary tear awakening. It only happens once a century. I heard he was recruited by the Silver Sanctuary, one of the 3 great sanctuaries, and became their new chosen one. No wonder he has the guts to cause trouble here. A draconic core. They say it's a direct path to godhood. Hearing the gasps of awe, Damien held his head high, his tone dripping with contempt. That's right. I am Damien Cross, he declared. Marcus Ashford, do you still dare to stand in my way? Isabella was quick to put distance between us. Marcus, my heart belongs to Damien. You're not worthy of me. I will never marry you. My expression remained calm, a faint, unreadable smile on my face as I turned my attention to the head of the Chen family. Excellent. Is this the official position of the Chen family as well? Mr. Chen sensed something was wrong, but he squared his shoulders and spoke. It is. Damien possesses the draconic core, a once-in-a-century genius who has already reached the adept tier at such a young age. Compared to him, you are nothing but a useless waste. How could you possibly be worthy of my daughter? I turned to my butler standing behind me and spoke in a cold, level voice. Mr. Harrison, the head of the Chen family, has spoken out of turn. Remove one of his arms. Yes, young master, Mr. Harrison replied with a respectful bow. In a flash, he was a phantom, appearing instantly at Mr. Chen's side. There was a glint of steel. With a sickening thump, Mr. Chen's arm flew through the air. Ag! He let out an inhuman shriek, clutching the bleeding stump as he writhed on the marble floor. His eyes, when they met mine, were filled with pure venom. It had all happened too fast. The guests were still processing what they'd seen. Dad! Isabella screamed, rushing to her father's side. She couldn't believe it. This was Marcus Ashford, the man who would bend over backward for her, who would personally punish one of his own guards if she so much as mentioned a dislike for them. How could he have given such a brutal order against her father? She snapped her head up, her eyes blazing with fury. Marcus, are you insane? Over something as trivial as me calling off the wedding, you cut off my father's arm. Do you want me to hate you forever? You get over here and kneel and apologize right now. Otherwise, don't even think about me ever forgiving you. Damien, however, had run out of patience. Isabella, why are you still talking to this loser? I'm going to end him right here, right now. As he spoke, the golden light around him intensified. The draconic phantom let out a deafening roar before shooting toward me like a golden meteor. His fist, glowing brightly, carried an unstoppable force. Young master, look out, Mr. Harrison's face paled as he moved to intercept. No need. I held up a hand to stop him, my gaze turning ice cold. Just as Damien's fist was about to connect with my face, I shifted slightly, my body barely moving, and casually slapped him across the cheek. The shock wave of energy was immense. Damien's eyes instantly filled with blood. His entire body slammed into the floor with such force that the marble cracked beneath him. The entire hotel seemed to shake from the impact. Damien Cross lay before me, crumpled like a dog. The entire hall was struck dumb. Isabella's face was ashen, her eyes wide with disbelief as she stared at me. Damien Cross, the wielder of the draconic core, defeated just like that. How was that possible? Even Mr. Harrison was frozen in shock. When had the young master become so powerful? Damien tried to scramble to his feet, but I slammed my foot down on his head, grinding his face into the floor. I had already sealed his powers. He was helpless, no matter how much he struggled. Damien's face was dark, his fists clenched. I'll admit you're strong, Ashford. But it's not enough. If you let me go right now and get on your knees and apologize, I might give you a chance to be my subordinate. He gritted his teeth, forcing out each word. Otherwise, the Silver Sanctuary will make sure your entire family pays the price. I pressed down harder with my foot. Splat. Damien coughed up a mouthful of blood, the impact shuddering through his body. Isabella, seeing this, panicked. She shrieked and rushed forward, trying to pry my leg off him. Marcus, how dare you? Let Damien go right now, or I'll never, ever forgive you. Jesus, will you shut up already? I backhanded her without even looking. Isabella hit the hotel wall with a sickening crunch. Her body was literally embedded in the drywall. Her mother went ballistic. First, her husband's arm was severed. Now, her daughter was assaulted. Rage consumed her. She pointed a trembling finger at me and screamed. "Marcus Ashford, you have some nerve. Have you forgotten how you used to grovel for our Isabella's attention? And now you dare hit her. This wedding is officially over. Don't ever expect her to speak to you again. A petty, small-minded man like you doesn't deserve to be loved." Isabella, being awakened, was durable. Though she felt like every bone in her body was rattling, she wasn't completely incapacitated. Her face was pale and blood trickled from her lips as she painfully pulled herself out of the wall. She looked weak, but her voice was sharp. "Mom, why are you even talking to him? All I did was call off a wedding, and he does this to me. From now on, we're not even friends. I'm going to make Marcus Ashford regret this for the rest of his life." Huh, so melodramatic. For the moment, I couldn't be bothered with these two idiots. I took a short sword from Mr. Harrison's hand, grabbing a handful of Damien's hair. I yanked his head up, forcing him to look at me. I patted his cheek lightly, a mocking smile on my face. "Ah, the draconic core. The chosen one. My family has no quarrel with you. Yet you crash my wedding, threaten me, and vow to destroy my entire family. Who do you think runs this city, Damien Cross?" Damien's face flushed with shame and anger. He opened his mouth to retort, but I didn't give him the chance. I plunged the sword through his right palm, pinning it to the floor. Ag! A blood-curdling scream tore through the hall. Damien's right hand was nailed to the marble, blood pooling around it. His body convulsed in pain, veins bulging on his forehead. The look in his eyes promised a slow, painful death. "Marcus Ashford, how dare you do this to me? I have the draconic core. I am destined for godhood. Every dog has its day. Don't you dare look down on me now. For every bit of pain you inflict on me today, I will repay you 100, 1,000 times over. I will grind your bones to dust and erase you from existence. Godhood. The future." I scoffed, applying more pressure with my foot, grinding his face deeper into the cracked floor. "You, a useless piece of trash like you, think you're worthy of ascension? You think you have a future? You think that so-called draconic core of yours is so special? In my eyes, you're just a slightly larger ant. And that silver sanctuary of yours, you really think they can protect you?" My eyes turned cold, my voice dripping with undisguised contempt. "Forget one silver sanctuary. Even if all 3 sanctuaries came here today, they wouldn't be able to save your pathetic life. Fine, your family is finished. You just wait." Damien was still screaming threats, trying to use his connections to intimidate me, but I had no intention of letting him finish. I took another short sword from my butler. With a flick of my wrist and another gut-wrenching scream, Damien's left hand was also pinned to the floor. Sputter. He coughed up another spray of blood, his face a deathly white as his energy faded, but the hatred in his eyes burned as brightly as ever. Good. A true protagonist, stubborn to the end. The wedding guests were frozen in terror, not daring to breathe. Even the Chens were looking at me like I was a madman. No one had expected Marcus Ashford to be so reckless, to attack the chosen one of the Silver Sanctuary with such brutality. The 3 sanctuaries were powers that existed above even the founding families. This wasn't just kicking a hornet's nest. This was setting the whole forest on fire. Wasn't the Ashford family afraid of being annihilated? Seeing her beloved Damien pinned to the ground, howling like a dying animal, Isabella finally understood. The man standing before her was no longer the spineless, groveling simp she had wrapped around her finger. For the first time, a sliver of genuine fear pierced her heart. Just then, a clear, sharp voice cut through the tension. I said, "Stop." A powerful pressure descended upon the hall. The guests felt an immense weight on their shoulders, making it hard to breathe. Damien's eyes widened in desperation. "Vivian, help me." He then turned his crazed eyes back to me. Marcus Ashford, my senior is here. You are a dead man." The newcomer was Vivian, the top disciple of the Silver Sanctuary. She stared at me, then at Damien crushed beneath my foot. Her face instantly turned to stone, radiating killing intent. Your Ashford family has a lot of nerve, daring to humiliate the chosen one of the Silver Sanctuary. Are you looking for death? Damien was a once-in-a-century prodigy. He was the Sanctum's hope to become the #1 power in the world. For someone to lay a hand on him was a capital offense. A few guests immediately recognized her. That's Vivian, the Silver Sanctuary's first disciple. A peak archon. The Ashford experts are all at the rift. This is bad, really bad for them. Is Marcus Ashford done for? Vivian is a prodigy in her own right. They say she once fought an ascendant to a standstill and escaped unharmed. 10 of Marcus Ashford wouldn't be a match for her. Marcus might be strong, but he's young and arrogant. He's really done it this time. The Chen family, who had been sinking into despair, now looked relieved. Mr. Harrison leaned in behind me, his voice heavy with concern. Young master, Vivian is incredibly powerful. I am not certain I can defeat her. She's just a clown. Don't worry. Mr. Harrison said no more. Vivian, dressed in white, had the cold, ethereal beauty of a goddess. She fixed her eyes on me, her gaze filled with murderous intent. Let Damien go now. I didn't even bother to move the foot crushing Damien's face. I just gave Vivian a lazy, dismissive glance. Your junior crashed my wedding, threatened me, and vowed to destroy my family. You think I'm just going to let him go? Or is it the official policy of the Silver Sanctuary to let its disciples run around crashing weddings, bullying people, and throwing their weight around? This string of questions made Vivian's expression darken. She hadn't expected Damien to have behaved so disgracefully, but she had been a dominant figure in this world for years. When had anyone dared to speak to her like that, especially with such blatant, undisguised contempt? The audacity sent a surge of fury through her. Insolence, Vivian snapped. The full force of a peak archon erupted from her. The air in the hotel ballroom seemed to crystallize. Many of the weaker guests were thrown back by the sheer pressure, their faces contorting in horror. So this was the power of an archon. It was terrifying. Marcus Ashford, Damien is the chosen one of the Silver Sanctuary. It is not your place to discipline him. If you do not get on your knees, seal your own powers, and beg for Damien's forgiveness today, I will burn your family to the ground. At this, Damien started screaming again. Vivian, kill him. Kill this bastard. He crippled my hands and insulted our sanctuary. We can't let him live. The worry in Isabella's eyes vanished, replaced by gleeful malice. She knew how powerful Vivian was. Once Vivian made her move, Marcus Ashford was a dead man. However, faced with Vivian's overwhelming pressure, I remained completely unaffected. I didn't even blink. I applied a little more pressure with my foot. Damien coughed up another mouthful of blood and collapsed into a whimpering heap, barely conscious. Burn the Ashfords to the ground. A mocking curve formed on my lips. You and what army? Arrogant fool. Die. With a flick of her wrist, a sword of shimmering blue light appeared in her hand. The room was instantly filled with a bone-chilling cold, the air thick with killing intent. The guests scrambled for cover. The hotel's floor-to-ceiling plate glass windows exploded outward in a shower of glittering shards. Wielding her blade, Vivian became a bolt of lightning. She tore through the space between us, appearing before me in an instant. Young master, watch out, Mr. Harrison cried out, trying to step in front of me, but I waved him off. The guests shrieked and covered their eyes, certain they were about to witness my gruesome death. Damien's face twisted into a venomous grin. Ha, he rasped. How dare a nobody like you try to touch the woman I want? But the bloody scene they all expected never happened. I didn't even flinch. I simply raised my right hand and, with a casual flick of my index and middle fingers, caught her blade. Clang. After a sharp ringing sound, Vivian's unstoppable strike was brought to a dead halt, caught firmly between my two fingers. It couldn't advance another inch. The blue sword vibrated violently, but it couldn't break free. Vivian's pupils constricted, her beautiful eyes filled with utter shock. Impossible. That's impossible. She desperately channeled all the power within her, her delicate face flushing crimson with effort, but the sword was held as if welded between my fingers, completely immobile. Is this all you've got? And you dare speak of destroying the Ashford family? I spoke with cutting disdain, then applied the slightest pressure. Crack. With a sharp snap, the master-crafted sword in Vivian's hand shattered into pieces. The destruction of her bonded weapon sent a backlash of energy through her. She stumbled backward and collapsed onto the floor. Splat. She coughed up a mouthful of blood, her eyes wide with terror as she looked at me. No. How is he so strong? At that moment, she finally realized that the man before her, Marcus Ashford, was not someone she, a peak archon, could ever hope to challenge. It was an absolute, crushing defeat, the difference between an ant and a giant. The entire hall fell into a dead silence. Everyone was stunned into paralysis by what they had just witnessed. How? How is that possible? He broke an archon's bonded sword with 2 fingers. That's terrifying. What tier is this Marcus Ashford? Damien and Isabella were completely catatonic. Their minds were blank, unable to process the reality before them. In contrast, the Ashford family members were ecstatic, their eyes shining with pride and adoration. That was a peak archon, and the young master had defeated her without breaking a sweat. The Chen family, on the other hand, sank into utter despair. Held at knife point by the Ashford guards, they trembled uncontrollably. Mr. Chen, ignoring the searing pain in his arm, bowed his head. His arrogance was gone. Nephew Marcus, this has all been a misunderstanding, he pleaded. Since Isabella doesn't love you, we can part amicably. There's no need for things to get this ugly. A misunderstanding? I glanced at him coolly. If Isabella and Damien were truly in love, they could have come to my family, stated their case, and returned all the assets the Ashfords have provided you over the years. Instead, you chose to humiliate my family with a public spectacle. You threatened me and vowed to annihilate my house. And now you tell me it was all a misunderstanding. Mr. Chen opened his mouth, but no words came out. Vivian, though defeated, recovered from her initial shock and regained some of her usual haughtiness. Marcus, even if Damien was in the wrong, you had better let us go. When the Silver Sanctuary learns of what happened here today, your family will be wiped from existence. Don't throw your lives away. Huh? Still trying to threaten me even now? My eyes narrowed. I lashed out with an open palm. Vivian's legs exploded in a shower of blood and bone. She collapsed, screaming in agony. All traces of her arrogant demeanor were gone. No, please. I raised my hand again. Damien's legs suffered the same fate. He was barely breathing, a rattling sound coming from his throat. The entire hall was paralyzed with fear. These were 2 of the Silver Sanctuary's most brilliant prodigies. This was now a blood feud. Marcus Ashford's methods were so ruthless. His family was surely doomed. Everyone felt as though the sky was falling. It was over. The Ashford family was finished. I walked over to Vivian and looked down at her. The dimensional rift disturbance wasn't major this time. The 3 sanctuaries didn't send reinforcements. I'll give you a chance. Contact the Silver Sanctuary. Tell them to come. It'll save me a trip. The crowd collectively gasped. The reason the 3 sanctuaries were the supreme powers was because they had ascendants, beings on the verge of godhood. Even if the head of the Ashford family managed to return from the rift, he was only an archon. Though I had defeated Vivian, in their eyes, I couldn't be more than an archon myself. Compared to the might of the Silver Sanctuary, that was nothing. If the sanctuary's leaders came in force, the Ashford family would surely be annihilated. Everyone thought I had lost my mind. Pride really does come before a fall. Hearing my words, the Chen family felt a flicker of hope reignite within them. Vivian, fighting through the pain, sent a distress signal to the sanctuary. I had everyone move to the open plaza outside the hotel. Until this was resolved, nobody was leaving. This 5-star hotel was an Ashford property. It was better to wait outside. A battle between high-tier awakened would reduce the building to rubble in seconds, and I intended to enjoy this. Just then, my phone started blowing up with calls from my father, grandfather, and various uncles. I knew it was Mr. Harrison who had secretly called them. I ignored every call. They were tied up at the rift, dealing with creatures from another dimension. They couldn't get away, and I had no interest in listening to them tell me to stand down. I would clean up this mess for them. The events inside the hotel ballroom had already been secretly live-streamed. It started with a small audience, but now over 1 million people were watching. When they saw that I held the Silver Sanctuary in complete contempt, the internet exploded. The stream went viral. The viewer count was skyrocketing. I live next to the Chens, and I'll say it. The Chens are what they are today because the Ashfords propped them up, and now they pull this wedding-crashing stunt. I'm speechless. Damien Cross, the draconic core. Is that it? Damien used his sanctuary background to act like a thug, crashing a wedding and making threats. Getting crippled serves him right. He's on the ground like a stray dog. I thought he was a once-in-a-century genius. LOL, I'm dead. Vivian, the top disciple of the Silver Sanctuary, a goddess-tier peak archon, got her sword broken by 2 fingers and her legs destroyed. Marcus Ashford does not mess around. But the key part was him saying, even if all 3 sanctuaries came, they couldn't save him. I'll bet 5 grand Marcus is way more than just an archon. You're dreaming. Only the sanctuaries have ascendants, and they're all old masters. Exactly. How old is Marcus? Mid-tier archon at best. It's over. The Ashford family is going to be wiped out. What a shame. He's just too young. How could he challenge the authority of a sanctuary? It's suicide. Am I the only one who caught him saying it'll save me a trip? Is he planning to take on the whole Silver Sanctuary? Who gave him the nerve? Look at Mr. Chen's face. It went from despair to elation, and now he looks like he's constipated. It's like watching a magic trick. Number 1 trending topic, #Ashford heir versus Sanctuary. Let's go, people. I'm an outer disciple of the Silver Sanctuary. Just got word the Grandmaster and the High Elder are on their way with all the inner disciples. Marcus Ashford is dead. The Ashfords will be erased from New York. You don't mess with our chosen one and first disciple and live. Marcus is hot, but he kicked the biggest hornet's nest imaginable. His family is done for today. He'll go down in history as the men who doomed them all. A short while later, an overwhelming pressure descended from the sky. Everyone in the city felt their bodies grow heavy. A massive contingent of figures appeared in the air above the hotel. The entire city looked up in awe and terror. At the very front were Aurora, the Grand Master of the Silver Sanctuary, and Thaddeus, the High Elder. The aura of 2 ascendants pressed down like a mountain range. The weaker guests in the plaza turned pale, struggling to remain standing. WTF. What is that in the sky? Did the Silver Sanctuary move their entire headquarters here? The woman in the middle in the purple robes. That's Grandmaster Aurora, the legendary number 1 beauty of the awakened world. That ethereal grace. She's unreal. And the old man with the white beard must be High Elder Thaddeus. He's a high ascendant. It's over. Marcus really screwed up this time. 2 ascendants. How the hell do you fight that? Marcus needs to get on his knees and beg for his life right now. Vivian began to wail. Master, Marcus Ashford crippled me and Damien. Please, Master, help us. Avenge us. Aurora descended. Seeing the state of Vivian and Damien, her eyes turned cold, her face filled with murderous rage. You are Marcus Ashford. I gave her a bored look. I am. You were the one who crippled Damien and Vivian. I answered nonchalantly. Your disciples crashed my wedding, insulted my family, and threatened to annihilate us. I crippled them. Is there a problem? My confrontational attitude only fueled her rage. Damien is the glorious chosen one of the sanctuary. What's the big deal about him crashing a wedding? I looked at her with amusement. Damien was all talk and no skill. I crippled him. What's the big deal? You die. Aurora's fury was absolute. Her voice echoed across the city. I looked at her with contempt. You can't kill me. Aurora laughed coldly. Can't I? She was an ascendant, one of the most powerful beings on the planet. Besides a few old monsters hiding in the other sanctuaries, who was there in this world that she, Aurora, could not kill? Damien, having recovered slightly, cried out, "Master, kill him. Kill him now." Vivian was sobbing. "Master, you must make him pay." Aurora nodded. A terrifying energy erupted from her body. A vast, ocean-like power surged through the plaza. At that moment, Aurora's presence became even more otherworldly, like a goddess looking down on mortals, demanding worship. She walked toward me, step by step. With each step, the ground trembled. An immense pressure filled the air like a mountain pressing down on everyone present. By the time she reached me, the thousands of spectators had been forced back to the edge of the plaza by her aura. Only Aurora and I remained in the center. I hadn't moved an inch. The look of casual indifference on my face hadn't changed at all. An invisible wave of energy exploded between us. The air churned violently, forming a massive energy vortex. Dark clouds gathered overhead, and thunder rumbled. Boom. A deafening explosion rocked the plaza. The ground between us was blasted apart by the invisible force, leaving a crater dozens of feet deep. Everyone watching was dumbfounded. How? How is this possible? The members of the Silver Sanctuary and the Chen family looked at me as if they were seeing a ghost. Only the Ashford family members' eyes grew brighter with fervor. When the sanctuary arrived, they had all thought they were dead. They never imagined their young master was this powerful. All hail the young master. The live stream chat exploded. What? What the hell just happened? What was that? My phone just flew out of my hands. WTF. A crater dozens of feet deep just appeared out of nowhere. Was that just from their auras clashing? Aurora is an ascendant. Marcus can go head-to-head with her. Is he even human? I saw it. Marcus didn't move the whole time. Not even a single step. The people from the Silver Sanctuary look sick. Their Grandmaster's aura couldn't even faze him. Isabella is awake. She saw the crater, and she's totally frozen. Her mouth is wide enough to fit an egg. I thought Marcus was a deadman for sure, but this looks like a real fight. I'm so hyped. Let them fight. Aurora finally dropped her dismissive attitude. Her face was grave. My eyes roamed over her shamelessly. Have to admit, the woman was a stunner. She wore a flowing purple dress, her long black hair cascading over her shoulders. Her skin was like snow, her features exquisite, her aura unmatched. A true, peerless beauty. Too bad she was a bit old. My voice was impatient. Old woman, are we going to fight or not? Why don't all of you from the sanctuary just come at me at once? Isabella still hadn't recovered from the shock. Suddenly, as if a thought struck her, she began to shriek. Impossible. Marcus was a pathetic loser who simped for me for years. How could he suddenly become so strong? It's absolutely impossible. He must have some kind of incredible artifact on him. Yes, that has to be it. Hearing me call her an old woman had already enraged Aurora. She was about to attack when Isabella's words gave her pause. She looked at me with suspicion. Could it be the Ashford family found an immortal tier artifact in a rift? Legends of such artifacts had always existed, but no one had ever actually seen one. Now, the more she thought about it, the more plausible it seemed. The Ashford family, they dared to hide an immortal tier artifact. The High Elder and the Sanctuary shouted a warning. Grandmaster, fall back. If he truly has an artifact of that level, you cannot face him alone. Aurora realized the gravity of the situation. This was a matter of life and death. She didn't hesitate, immediately retreating to High Elder Thaddeus's side. The other spectators had a sudden epiphany. No wonder Marcus became so strong all of a sudden, able to stand against the Grandmaster. He has an immortal tier artifact. The Ashfords kept that well hidden. Ah, now that the Silver Sanctuary knows his secret, he's dead for sure. Even with the artifact. Exactly. With Marcus's low power level, he can't possibly unleash the artifact's full potential. He might be able to handle one ascendant, but not the entire Silver Sanctuary. Looks like the Ashford family can't escape their fate after all. The live stream chat was filled with similar sentiments. Historically, anyone who provoked a sanctuary was met with one fate: complete annihilation for them and their entire family. High Elder Thaddeus, fearing any unforeseen complications, immediately began organizing his people into a formation. His full power as a high ascendant erupted. The sky filled with black clouds, and billions of lightning bolts snaked through them like silver dragons. It looked like the end of the world. The entire city stared at the sky, their faces etched with terror. He bellowed, "Crimson Moon Seal." Every disciple of the Silver Sanctuary glowed with a blood-red light. The light shot into the sky, coalescing into a colossal blood-red moon. The moment the moon appeared, everyone felt an unbelievably powerful, world-ending aura descend upon them. The millions of people in the city trembled, feeling as if their very souls were about to be extinguished. Oh my God, that's the Silver Sanctuary's ultimate weapon, the Crimson Moon Seal. Legend says that formation's power is close to that of an immortal. It once instantly vaporized a peak ascendant. Looks like even with an artifact, Marcus Ashford is dead meat. Sigh. All this over a crashed wedding. If he had just backed down earlier, it wouldn't have come to this. The Ashfords are doomed. Thaddeus's voice boomed. Marcus Ashford. If you kneel and beg for mercy now and hand over the artifact, I can promise to only kill you and spare your family. Do not make a fatal mistake. The other members of the sanctuary chimed in. Ashford, get on your knees and thank the High Elder for his mercy, or your whole family will die without a proper burial. That's right. Kowtow and repent. Once this seal is active, no one below the immortal tier can survive. The High Elder is giving you a chance. You should cherish it. Don't be an ungrateful fool. I smiled faintly. Ah, is that so? I slowly raised my hand, forming a sword with my fingers, and an overwhelming energy erupted from me. With a single slash, a wave of power tore across the sky. It slammed directly into the massive blood-red moon. The dark clouds were obliterated. The gates of heaven themselves seemed to fly open. Boom. The cataclysmic sound was like the world being born. Every building in the city shook violently as if they were about to be torn from their foundations. The blood moon, the seal that had terrified the entire city, the weapon said to be capable of killing a peak ascendant, shattered like a pane of glass. No. Billions of blood-red shards shot out like a meteor shower, disappearing into the vastness of space. The formation was destroyed. The disciples of the Silver Sanctuary suffered a devastating backlash. They were sent flying like leaves in a hurricane, coughing up blood, the sound of their bones snapping echoing through the air. As the core of the formation, Thaddeus and Aurora suffered the worst of it. They were vomiting blood, unable to even get up. When they looked at me, their eyes were filled with absolute terror and despair. Thaddeus screamed in horror. A single slash that opens the heavens. You're in the immortal tier. What? Immortal tier. Did I hear that right? Immortal tier. Holy crap. He's really immortal tier. He's the only immortal on the planet. Oh my God. I'm witnessing a living legend. He broke the Crimson Moon Seal with one strike and tore open the sky. This isn't a story anymore. This is mythology happening in real life. Holy, he's an immortal. This world actually has an immortal, and he's Marcus Ashford. An immortal. That's something out of legend. To see an immortal in action, I can die happy. Damien Cross tried to crash an immortal's wedding. Pride really does come before a fall. Who was it that said Marcus was relying on an artifact? Show yourself. I've got some sword energy you can use as a mirror. I stood with my hands behind my back, an ethereal energy swirling around me, mingling with a rainbow-colored light pouring down from the tear in the sky. Hearing Thaddeus's cry, I gave him a disinterested look. I am an immortal, and yet your Silver Sanctuary wanted to exterminate my entire family. How should we settle this account? Thaddeus trembled violently, then collapsed to his knees with a thud, banging his head on the ground repeatedly. Immortal, spare me. This lowly one, Thaddeus, was blind and offended your divine presence. Please, Immortal, have mercy. Spare the Silver Sanctuary this once. Aurora struggled to her feet, ignoring the blood at the corner of her mouth. She gave me a deep, graceful bow, her voice trembling uncontrollably. Senior, no, Divine Lord, it was our ignorance that led us to offend you. We deserve 10,000 deaths. Please forgive our foolish transgression. Every other spectator in the plaza dropped to their knees, their voices a chorus of awe. We pay our respects to the immortal. Damien felt a cold dread wash over him. He, who had the potential to become a god, had tried to steal an actual god's fiancée. It was over. He knew it was all over. No one could save him now. His entire sanctuary was going down with him. The Chen family was shaking, their bodies trembling uncontrollably. They never imagined I was an immortal, and Isabella had tried to publicly humiliate me. How had it come to this? Isabella's mind was a complete blank. Only the Ashford family members remained standing, their eyes blazing with a fervor that bordered on worship. I swept my gaze over the kneeling crowd. The silver sanctuary has offended an immortal. Their path was to seek death. Therefore, death is what they shall receive. As the words left my mouth, I struck out with my palm. No. The members of the silver sanctuary screamed in unison. It was futile. Everyone, including Thaddeus, Aurora, and Damien Cross, was instantly vaporized into clouds of blood mist. The Chen family finally broke, scrambling on their knees, begging for their lives. Isabella crawled to my feet, pressing her forehead to the ground. Marcus, no, Divine Lord, I was wrong. Please, I beg you. Spare me this one time. I'll do anything you ask. I looked down at the weeping, sniveling woman at my feet. Those eyes, which had once held the original Marcus in a trance, were now filled with nothing but the primal fear of death. Anything. I smiled. A smile that held no warmth. Are you willing to die? Isabella froze, shaking her head, then nodding frantically, her words tumbling out in a panicked rush. No, that's not. I'm willing to be your slave, a maid. I can serve you tea, make your bed, anything, as long as the Divine Lord spares my life. I'll do anything. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I spoke softly. To be my maid, you are not qualified. You love Damien, don't you? Then go join him. Ah, no. Facts aside, aren't you also to blame, Marcus? Why did you hide your power? If you hadn't hidden your power, why would I have chosen Damien? This is all your fault. You can't do this to me. Don't kill me. I know I was wrong. Please give me one more chance. No. With a casual wave of my hand, Isabella exploded. She burst into a cloud of red mist. Her body and soul completely erased from existence. Mr. Harrison, see the rest of the Chens on their way. Yes, young master. Mr. Harrison gestured, and the guards no longer hesitated. Amidst the desperate screams of the Chen family, they were all executed on the spot. I turned to face the kneeling guests and the members of my own family. My voice carried across the entire city. Today's events are now concluded. From this day forward, there is no silver sanctuary. The Chen family is no more. Within the domain of the Ashford family, any who dare to provoke us shall be met with death. Just then, the system's notification sound chimed in my mind. Ding. Congratulations, host, for completing the wedding crashing plot mission. Reward, Power Tier +1. You have successfully advanced to the Golden Immortal tier. In light of the host's perfect completion of a mission, you may now freely choose when to begin the next mission. Damn. After all the years this system has worked me like a dog, it finally did something decent. I think I'll stay on this world for a century or two. He killed them all. Even Isabella. The Divine Lord is making a statement. His methods are brutal. Brutal. How would you react if someone crashed your wedding and threatened your family? I say good riddance. So, the Ashford family is now the #1 power on the planet, right? Who would ever dare mess with them again? An immortal. I must go pay my respects to the immortal. The Azure Sanctuary pays its respects to the Divine Lord. We await your command and will never dare offend you. The Crimson Sanctuary also pledges absolute loyalty to the Divine Lord. Within hours, representatives from the remaining 2 sanctuaries had arrived, prostrating themselves before me. They offered tributes, resources, and sworn oaths of allegiance. The entire awakened world had shifted on its axis. There was a new supreme power, and his name was Marcus Ashford. Mr. Harrison approached me respectfully. "Young master, what are your orders regarding the Silver Sanctuary's territories and assets?" I waved my hand dismissively. "Distribute them among our family's people. Keep what's useful, discard the rest. As for their disciples who weren't present today, give them a choice: swear absolute loyalty to the Ashford family or leave this world forever." "Yes, young master. It shall be done immediately." My father, grandfather, and the other family elders finally arrived from the dimensional rift, rushing through the plaza. When they saw the scene before them, the crater in the ground, the tear still visible in the sky, the representatives of 2 sanctuaries kneeling, and the remnants of what had clearly been a catastrophic battle, they froze in shock. My father, Nathaniel Ashford, approached cautiously, his eyes wide with disbelief. "Marcus, what happened here?" "We received reports that the Silver Sanctuary mobilized their entire force against us." I smiled calmly. "They did. I handled it. The Silver Sanctuary no longer exists. The Chen family has been eradicated. And I've made it clear to the awakened world that the Ashford family is not to be trifled with. My grandfather, Aldrich Ashford, the family patriarch and a peak archon himself, studied me with newfound awe. His voice trembled slightly. "Marcus, your power, you've reached the immortal tier." "I have. You need not worry about dimensional rifts or threats from the sanctuaries anymore. Our family's position is now unshakable." The family elders all dropped to one knee in unison. "We pay our respects to the divine Lord Marcus Ashford, pride of our family." I gestured for them to rise. "Stand. You are my family. There's no need for such formality among us. However, I expect our family to conduct itself with honor and dignity befitting our new status. We will not abuse our power, but neither will we tolerate disrespect or betrayal." My father's eyes glistened with pride. "Of course, my son. The Ashford family has always valued honor and integrity. We will not disappoint you." As the sun began to set over the city, casting long shadows across the plaza, I stood alone for a moment, gazing at the horizon. The original Marcus Ashford had been weak, manipulated, and ultimately destroyed by his misplaced affection. But I had rewritten his fate. I had transformed humiliation into dominance, weakness into absolute power. The live stream had ended hours ago, but the internet was still ablaze with discussions. My name, my face, my power, all of it had become legendary in a single day. The wedding that was supposed to mark my greatest humiliation had instead become the stage for my ascension to godhood. Mr. Harrison approached quietly. "Young master, the hotel staff would like to know if you wish to continue with the wedding preparations. They've prepared a private celebration if you desire it." I chuckled darkly. No. Today was never about marriage. It was about making a statement. Let the world remember this day not as a wedding, but as the day the Ashford family became untouchable. "As you wish, young master." I turned to leave the plaza, my family falling into step behind me. The representatives from the Azure and Crimson sanctuaries remained kneeling, awaiting my command. I glanced back at them briefly. "Rise. Return to your sanctuaries. Remember what you witnessed here today. The next time anyone thinks to cross the Ashford family, remind them of the fate that befell the Silver Sanctuary." "Yes, Divine Lord. We will never forget." As I walked away from the scene of destruction, I felt the weight of my new position settle on my shoulders. I was no longer just Marcus Ashford, heir to a founding family. I was a living legend, an immortal among mortals, a god walking the earth. And anyone foolish enough to challenge me would learn the same lesson Isabella, Damien, and the Silver Sanctuary had learned today: some insults can never be forgiven, and some prices must be paid in blood. The wedding that never was had ended. But my story, my reign over this world, was only just beginning.